I still remember that rainy Tuesday in October when my world first cracked open. I'd been grading papers in my office at Westfield State University when my phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. "Working late again, don't wait up." The third time that week. Something felt off. After 8 years of marriage, you develop a sixth sense. I decided to surprise her with dinner at her office. I picked up her favorite Thai food from that little place on Main Street and drove through the Massachusetts autumn rain to the sleek glass building where she worked as marketing director. The receptionist's face gave it away before she even spoke.
"Oh, Professor Hayes, Amanda left about an hour ago with Mr. Chambers. They had a client dinner in Boston." I stood there, takeout bag dripping rainwater onto the polished floor, as reality sank in. Richard Chambers, her boss, a silver-haired
Man with expensive suits and a wedding ring that apparently meant nothing. I drove home in a daze, the windshield wipers keeping rhythm with my racing thoughts. Our colonial house in the faculty neighborhood was dark when I arrived. I sat in the driveway for nearly an hour before going inside. At 11:42 p.m., I heard her key in the lock. Amanda walked in, her chestnut hair slightly damp from the rain, cheeks flushed. She froze when she saw me sitting in the dark living room. "Mark, you scared me." Her green eyes widened, then narrowed. "Why are you sitting in the dark?" "Where were you, Amanda?" "I told you, working late with the team on the Hartwell account." I laughed, a hollow sound that surprised even me. "Funny, because I brought dinner to your office." Everyone was gone, including you and Richard. Her face changed then, not with guilt, but with calculation. I'd seen that look before when she negotiated contracts. She was assessing damage, planning strategy. "It's not what you think," she started, setting down her designer bag. "Then what is it?" My voice was steady despite the earthquake in my chest. What followed was a masterclass in gaslighting. She turned it around, how I was always buried in academic work, how Richard was just a mentor, how I was being paranoid and insecure. But when I mentioned the receptionist's exact words, her strategy shifted. Amanda's eyes welled with tears as she sank to her knees before me. "It was just once," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I've been so lonely, Mark. You're always grading papers or writing articles."
I felt sick. "How long?" "It doesn't matter, it's over now. I made a terrible mistake." She took my hands, her tears falling onto my knuckles. "You'll forgive me, won't you? You always understand. It's why I love you." I remembered my parents.
Bitter divorce, the broken home I'd grown up in, my promise to never put a child through that. We didn't have kids yet, but the fear of becoming my father kept me rooted to that couch. "We can fix this," she said, reading my hesitation. "You'll forgive me because deep down, you know you can't live without me." And God help me, I did forgive her. The first time is always the hardest and the easiest. I didn't know then that I was setting the pattern for what would become the most painful chapter of my life. 6 months of cautious rebuilding followed that first betrayal. Amanda became attentive, almost loving. She'd leave little notes in my briefcase, suggest weekend getaways to coastal Maine, and for a while I convinced myself we were healing. Then came the faculty spring mixer. I was discussing Faulkner with a new English professor when I noticed Amanda across the room, laughing too loudly with her hand on Richard's arm. Something in their body language, the familiar lean, the knowing glances sent
"Ice through my veins. Are you all right, Mark?" asked Sarah Chen, a fellow professor from the psychology department.
Her concerned expression told me my distress was visible. "Fine," I managed. "Just remembered a deadline." That night, I waited until Amanda fell asleep, her blonde hair spread across the pillow in the moonlight. I'd never invaded her privacy before, but something primal drove me to her phone. The passcode had changed, first red flag, but her laptop was still open on the kitchen counter. Her email told the story I dreaded. Hotel reservations, intimate exchanges, plans made during business, trips that were anything but business. The affair had never ended. When I confronted her the next morning, Amanda's eyes flashed not with shame, but with annoyance at being caught. "I thought we were past this, Mark," she sighed, as if my discovery was the problem.
"It's just physical. It doesn't mean anything." "Doesn't mean anything," my voice cracked. "You promised me, Amanda." Her strategy shifted seamlessly. "I've tried to stop," she whispered, tears welling in those emerald eyes that once made my heart
race. "But you're so emotionally distant since finding out the first time." You pushed me back. I stood there, coffee mug suspended mid-air, as she rewrote our history. Had I been distant? Was this somehow my fault? "I need help, Mark," she continued, voice trembling perfectly. "I'm seeing a therapist. Please don't throw away 8 years because I'm broken." She approached slowly, taking the mug from my hand and setting it down. "Remember when we met, how you said you'd never seen anyone so alive?" Her fingers traced my jawline. "That girl is still here. She just got lost." I remembered that girl, vibrant, laughing on the university quad, challenging my theories on educational psychology. I'd fallen hard for that Amanda. "You'll forgive me," she whispered. "Not a question, but a statement. You always do, because beneath everything, you know no one will ever understand you like I do." The second forgiveness was harder, yet somehow easier, a contradiction I couldn't reconcile. I agreed to couples therapy, which Amanda attended twice before work conflicts prevented more sessions. That summer, Sarah invited me to co-author a paper on trauma responses in educational settings. During our research sessions, she noticed things might flinch when my phone rang, how I'd check the time constantly near the end of our meetings. "Mark," she said gently one afternoon, "as someone who studies relationship patterns, what you're describing isn't healthy." I brushed it off, but her words lingered. That night, I found myself staring at Amanda, sleeping peacefully beside me, wondering how someone so beautiful could cause such pain and why I kept allowing it. The pattern was emerging, but I wasn't ready to see it clearly. Not yet. The worst betrayal was still to come. Winter came early that year, blanketing our Massachusetts town in snow by mid-November. The cold had seeped into our marriage too. Amanda and I moved through our home like polite strangers, maintaining the facade of reconciliation while sleeping, with an invisible wall between us. I threw myself into my work, accepting the department chair position when Dr. Winters retired. The extra responsibilities meant longer hours, a convenient escape from the hollow feeling that followed me home each evening. One Thursday afternoon, my last class cancelled due to a campus power outage from the snowstorm. I decided to surprise Amanda by coming home early. Perhaps we could rekindle something over dinner and wine. Our driveway had 2 sets of fresh tire tracks in the snow. I entered quietly, hearing muffled sounds from upstairs. Part of me knew what I would find, yet I climbed those stairs anyway, each step heavier than the last. The bedroom door was partially open. There they were, Amanda and Richard. In our bed, the bed where I'd held her through nightmares, where we'd once planned our future children. Jesus Christ! Richard scrambled for his clothes while Amanda just stared, making no move to cover herself. Her expression wasn't even shock, it was irritation.
At the interruption. "You should have called," she said coldly. He stood frozen, unable to process her callousness. Richard mumbled apologies while dressing, but Amanda remained silent, her blue eyes challenging me. After he left, she finally spoke.
Well, say something? In our home, I managed. In our bed? She shrugged, pulling on her silk robe, the one I'd given her for our anniversary. It was snowing too hard to go to a hotel. The casual cruelty stunned me more than the betrayal itself. How considerate of you to think of the weather. Don't be pathetic, Mark. She brushed past me to the bathroom. This righteous act is getting old. I followed her. Act? You've been sleeping with your boss for over a year. And you've known the whole time? She shot back, applying moisturizer as if we were discussing dinner plans. Yet here we are. I stayed because I believed you wanted to fix things. Amanda laughed, a sound that cut deeper than any knife. I stayed because it was convenient. The respectable professor husband, the beautiful home. She gestured around us. Do you think Richard would leave his wife and risk half his assets? This arrangement works for everyone. Except me, I whispered. Something softened in her expression then, the manipulator returning. Mark, she sighed, approaching me. We have history. We have a life. So I need some excitement outside our marriage. Is that so terrible? When I didn't? Respond. Her tactics escalated. She reminded me of my parents' divorce, how I'd sworn never to repeat their mistakes, how alone I'd been before her, how my social awkwardness would make dating impossible. You'll forgive me, she said, touching my face. You always do, because you know this is as good as it gets for you. And God help me, I did a third time. But something broke permanently that day. The following week, I started seeing Dr. Melissa Goldberg, a therapist recommended by Sarah. In those sessions, I began recognizing the patterns of emotional abuse I'd normalized, how Amanda's manipulation targeted my deepest insecurities, how forgiveness without change wasn't mercy, but self-harm. What would you tell a student in your situation? Dr. Goldberg asked during our third session. The question haunted me for days. I knew the answer but wasn't ready to act on it, not until I discovered how deeply the mockery ran. Spring semester was ending when Amanda asked to use my laptop. Hers was acting up, she claimed, and she needed to finish a presentation. I handed it over without thinking, a professor's habit of sharing resources. Later that night, I noticed she'd forgotten to log out of her iMessage account that she'd synced to my browser. I hesitated, the ethical debate raging within me. Was I violating her privacy or simply confirming what I already knew? With a deep breath, I clicked. What I found wasn't just another rendezvous or passionate exchange, it was worse. Amanda too, Richard. Had to laugh when Mark brought me flowers yesterday. Thinks he's rebuilding trust. Richard. Poor bastard, still doesn't get it. Amanda. Nope, I just say you'll always forgive me and watch him fold, like training a puppy. Richard. Cold, babe. Effective, though, Amanda. He actually apologized to me last night for not meeting my emotional needs. I should teach a masterclass in manipulation. Richard. The professor getting schooled. Ironic. They shared memes about clueless husbands, screenshots of our private conversations. Amanda had even recorded one of my tearful apologies, for what I couldn't even remember, and sent it to Richard. With laughing emojis, my hands trembled as I scrolled through months of mockery. They didn't just betray my body with their affair, they betrayed my dignity by making it a shared joke. The final exchange broke something fundamental inside me. Amanda. Sometimes I feel bad. He'd literally forgive anything. Richard. Why feel bad? You got the perfect setup. Respectable husband at home, passion with me, and that inheritance coming when his parents die. The house alone in that neighborhood is worth millions. Amanda. True? And he'll never leave? Where would he even go? Who else would want him? Richard. Exactly. So enjoy the ride, babe. I closed the laptop and walked to our bedroom window, staring at the campus lights in the distance. For the first time since our marriage began crumbling, I felt something other than pain or confusion. I felt clarity. The next day, I met Sarah for our weekly research meeting. She noticed immediately. You look different, she said, studying my face. Something happened. I told her everything, the messages, the mockery, the calculated cruelty. Speaking the words aloud made them real in a way that silently bearing them hadn't. Mark, Sarah said gently, this isn't love. It's not even a relationship. It's exploitation. I know that now. What will you do? I hadn't planned to answer that question yet. But the words came anyway. Leave. But not just leave, escape with whatever dignity I have left. Sarah nodded. It won't be easy. Manipulators don't surrender control willingly. She thinks I'm predictable, I said. That's her weakness. That evening, Amanda came home late as usual. She kissed my cheek absently, the performance of affection so hollow I wondered how I'd ever found it convincing. How was your day, babe? She asked, not listening for an answer, as she poured herself wine. Illuminating, I replied. She didn't catch the edge in my voice, too busy checking her phone.
I watched her, this beautiful stranger, with her perfect makeup and calculated smiles, the woman who'd convinced me that her cruelty was love and my forgiveness was weakness. I was thinking, she said, still scrolling through her phone. We should
invite Richard and his wife for dinner next weekend. Good for appearances, you know. I almost laughed at the audacity. Whatever you think is best, Amanda. She glanced up, perhaps catching something unfamiliar in my tone, but I'd already turned away. That night, I lay awake beside her, planning my escape from a woman who thought I'd always forgive her. She had no idea that some things are truly unforgivable. The Victorian house in Amherst had been in my family for 3 generations. My parents had left it to me when they retired to Arizona, hoping Amanda and I would fill it with grandchildren. Instead, it had become another chess piece in Amanda's game, a valuable asset she frequently mentioned when discussing our future. It's worth at least $1.2 million in today's market, she'd casually remark to friends. Once we renovate, probably closer to 2. The morning after discovering those messages, I called James Whitaker, a real estate attorney who'd helped my parents with the property transfer. We met at a coffee shop 20 miles from campus. Selling your family home is a big decision, Mark, he said, studying me over his glasses. Are you certain? I've never been more certain of anything, I replied, sliding the property deed across the table. And I need this handled discreetly. James nodded slowly. May I ask why the secrecy? Let's just say I'm reclaiming something important. Over. The next 4 weeks, I orchestrated my exit with the methodical precision I typically reserved for research projects. I secured a modest apartment in Northampton close enough to campus, but far from Amanda's usual haunts. I opened a new bank account at a credit union. I carefully moved personal items that Amanda wouldn't notice, family photographs, my grandfather's watch, academic journals. The house sold faster than expected. A bidding war erupted between a tech executive and a surgeon relocating to the university medical center. The final price, $165 million. After paying off our modest mortgage, the proceeds were substantial. Throughout this process, I maintained perfect normalcy at home. I listened to Amanda's stories about work, knowing they were fabrications. I nodded sympathetically when she complained about Richard's wife being clingy at company functions. I even helped plan the dinner party she wanted with Richard and his unsuspecting wife. "You seem different lately," Amanda remarked one evening as I graded papers at the kitchen table. "More, I don't know, relaxed?" I looked up, meeting her gaze. "Do I?" She studied me, those calculating green eyes searching for information. "Are you taking something? Antidepressants or something?" "Just gaining perspective," I answered truthfully. She seemed satisfied with that, returning to her phone, likely texting Richard. The irony wasn't lost on me. Her arrogance had become my greatest advantage. She couldn't imagine me capable of deception because she believed me fundamentally weak. Sarah became my confidant during these weeks, offering both emotional support and practical advice. "She'll try to pull you back in," Sarah warned during one of our research sessions. "Manipulators escalate when they feel control slipping." "I know," I nodded. "But the paperwork is signed, the money's secured, there's no going back." The dinner party Amanda had planned provided the perfect opportunity.
Richard and his wife Jennifer were coming on Friday.
Amanda had scheduled a business trip for the following Monday, 3 days in Chicago that I knew would actually be spent with Richard at a lakefront hotel. "Perfect timing," I told Sarah over coffee. "She'll leave thinking everything is normal. By the time she returns, I'll be gone." "What about the house?" Sarah asked. "The new owners take possession next Wednesday. Amanda doesn't know." Sarah squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you, Mark. This takes incredible courage." "Not courage," I corrected her. "Self-preservation." The dinner party unfolded like a surreal play. I watched Amanda perform the role of devoted wife while exchanging knowing glances with Richard. I observed Jennifer, an intelligent, kind woman, completely unaware of the betrayal happening before her eyes. I felt a strange kinship with her, both of us unwitting players in Amanda and Richard's drama. After our guests left, Amanda kissed my cheek. "That went well. You were almost charming tonight." "High praise," I replied, clearing wine glasses. "I'm leaving for Chicago early Monday," she reminded me. "The Brenner presentation, remember?" I nodded. "I remember. Don't worry about rushing back. Take all the time you need," she smiled, mistaking my words for the doormat compliance she expected. That weekend, I finalized my preparations while Amanda packed for her business trip. Each lie she told strengthened my resolve. Each casual manipulation confirmed I was making the right choice. Sunday night, I watched her sleep for the last time, feeling nothing but a calm certainty that tomorrow would begin the rest of my life. Monday morning arrived with perfect clarity. I kissed Amanda goodbye, helped load her luggage into her BMW, and waved as she drove away. The moment her car turned the corner, I began executing the final phase of my plan. The movers arrived at 9:30 a.m., a team I'd hired from Northampton to avoid local gossip. By noon, my personal belongings were loaded and en route to my new apartment. I'd left the furniture and household items Amanda had selected over the years. They were part of the life I was leaving behind. At 2:30 p.m., I met with James at his office to sign the final transfer documents. The proceeds from the house sale had been deposited into my new account, minus the amount I'd set aside for Amanda. Though she deserved nothing, I wasn't leaving her destitute. A certified check for $100,000 would accompany my letter. "Everything's in order," James confirmed, sliding the folder across his desk. "The house officially changes hands on Wednesday." "Thank you for handling this so efficiently," I said, feeling a weight lifting with each signature. "Are you sure about this, Mark?" "It's not too late to reconsider." I thought about the messages I'd read, the years of manipulation, the mockery. I've never been more certain. Back at the house, I placed the envelope containing the check and my letter on Amanda's vanity, the place she'd see it first when she returned. The letter had taken days to write, each draft too angry or too apologetic, until I found the right words. Amanda, by the time you read this, I will be gone, not just from this house, but from this marriage and the fiction we've been living. I've known about your affair with Richard for over a year. I forgave you 3 times, believing your promises and tears were genuine. They weren't. I discovered your messages mocking my forgiveness, laughing at my pain, and planning to profit from
My family's home. That home has been sold.
After settling our debts, I've left you 100,000 more generosity than your betrayal deserves. The divorce papers will arrive tomorrow. They're non-negotiable. You were right about one thing. I always forgave you, until now. You believed my capacity for forgiveness was weakness. It wasn't. It was the strongest part of me, the part that believed people could change, that love could heal wounds, that vows meant something. You'll receive no more forgiveness from me, no more chances, no more of the devotion you exploited, you once taunted, that I'd always forgive you because I couldn't live without you. Watch me. Mark, I took one final walk through the house, memories echoing in each room, some beautiful, many painful. In the study, I found a framed photo from our wedding day. Amanda looked radiant, her smile seemingly genuine. Had she loved me then? Or had it always been calculation? It no longer mattered. At 4:30 p.m. I turned in my keys at James's office and drove to Northampton. My new apartment was modest but bright, with a view of the mountains. Sarah had helped me find it, close to campus, but in a building where faculty rarely lived. That evening, my phone exploded with notifications. Amanda had returned early from her business trip, likely because Richard's wife had discovered something. Her messages escalated from confusion to rage to desperate pleading. Where are you? What the hell is this letter? You can't sell my house. Please.
Call me. We can work this out. You're making a terrible mistake. You need me, Mark. You know you do. The final message came near midnight. You'll forgive me. You always do. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I blocked her number and
social media accounts. The divorce papers would be delivered tomorrow, already signed by me, with terms that were fair but firm. 3 days later, Sarah and I met for coffee at a cafe near my new apartment. "How are you holding up?" she asked. "Better than expected," I replied honestly. "It's like waking from a long fever dream." "She's been calling the department, claiming family emergency." I nodded. "James warned me she might try that." "The dean knows the situation." "What happens now?" Sarah asked. I looked out the window at the spring sunshine, at students crossing the street with backpacks and possibilities, at a future, suddenly,
opened before me. Now I remember who I was before someone convinced me that love means enduring cruelty. Now I rebuild. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in years, free from the weight of false forgiveness, free from the woman who
thought I'd always forgive her until I finally drew the line and her reality check arrived.